Today, we're going to talk about 3 principles that will make wealth inevitable for you. Number 1, how to create a money-saving robot. Number 2, an easy hack to transform you into a wise spender of money. And number 3, how to recognize and fix the massive tax problem that you didn't even notice that you have. And number 4, that generosity isn't just about giving, it's a kingdom wealth system. That was my episode hook. Did it work? You ready? The premise of this short series is this. If you do the things that wealthy people do, you will become wealthy. You know how I know that? Because I was broke and my life was about to take a crash landing. I was not in a good place, but thankfully, I heard God's leading. He told me I needed to learn to provide for my family. It wasn't this audible voice. He spoke through my pain, my confusion, and my doubt. So I started to study what wealthy people do. And man, was it different than what I had been taught and what I had been doing. I started to do these things and they worked. And now I'm sharing them with you. My hope and prayer is that this series helps you unlock abundance in your life. I have been plagued with this question. Why are so many good people struggling financially? Why was I struggling so much financially? If you haven't watched the last 2 episodes, I think they could really help you. The basic frameworks and principles of wealth are not hard to understand, but almost no one does them. I promise you, if you apply these diligently in your life, your wealth will become inevitable. Welcome to the download. If you are a scarcity holic like I was, this show is for you. I'm assuming the only Bible verse you ever heard about wealth was the one where Jesus told the rich young ruler to sell all of his possessions. Or maybe you heard, don't store up treasures on earth. So what did we do? We ignored money. We never learned how to create it, multiply it, or be generous with it. This show is your permission to prosper. I'm Judson Morgan. I'm the son of an economist, grandson of a preacher, and my companies have created so much value in the world that other human beings paid me $100 million in return for that value. I'm here to walk into an ever-increasing understanding of what Jesus offers when he promises the abundant life in John 10:10. This is not the prosperity gospel. That's demonic BS. This is true alignment with the Creator God who promises to provide and bless. Okay, quick recap. We started with the importance of a time audit because time is your most important asset. And then we talked about the 80-20 principle where you learn to focus on the 20% that gives you 80% of the results. In episode 2, we talked about how you need to make more money. And we do that through value creation. And then finally, saving way more than you spend. If you do those 4 things, I promise that wealth is inevitable. Today, we're going to talk about how to save even if you think you can't, how the wealthy manage taxes and large expenses, and how generosity leads to wealth flow. Let's start with the savings strategy that works at any income level. Wealth is created when you save more than you spend. But as I said last week, saving is one of the toughest battles of your life. Everything in culture is telling us we need to buy more stuff. The hidden script is that we get our identity, our worth, our dopamine, our status, our fun, our spouse, our love from the stuff that we have. It's so pervasive, it's hard to even notice it. It's a disease. We have been infected with the idea that the money we create is for spending. So we need to find a way to fight this disease. But how? Let's start with a few strategies that do not work. Number 1, willpower doesn't work. You cannot will yourself to save. The power to spend is too strong. Just like if you're trying to eat healthy at McDonald's, willpower does nothing. You're just at the wrong restaurant. Number 2, this is another strategy that doesn't work, is to save what is left over at the end of the month. You won't do it, mostly because there won't be anything left over. So forget that. So what does work? What works is making the decision that your future is worth prioritizing, that building wealth is more important to you than short-term dopamine, and that setting up a system that doesn't require your willpower or ongoing tasks or decisions. You need to make the decision once. When you're in that moment, when you feel that clarity, set up a system right then, a savings robot, and let it save for you. This is what you do. Take your monthly income, subtract your monthly housing expense, your transportation cost, your food cost, and any other large expense. Now you have your net. Take your net and decide how much you can put into savings every month. 20%, 30%, and we're talking about 20 or 30% of your net. If that's too much, just choose a number. Let's say 10% of your monthly income. Then you log into your bank and you create a monthly automatic transfer robot. It's just an automatic transfer from your checking to your savings account. Make sure your accounts are linked and all the transfers are free, and this will happen automatically on a monthly basis. And the best part of this strategy is that you'll forget about it. After a few months, you won't even notice the difference in your checking account. You're essentially tricking yourself to spending less. You're paying your future self. You're building a savings and investment bucket automatically without even noticing. This is what happened to me. I started moving a few $100 every month into a whole life insurance policy, which I use in a similar way to a high yield savings account. This automatic transfer has been happening for 3 years and I completely forgot about it. I set it up once. I had the willpower once, and it's been automatically building my wealth without me even realizing it was happening. I'm telling you, when you automate this sort of savings, your spending adjusts without you even noticing. You don't feel that pain. That's the power of this method. The wealthy use this technique for investing as well. They do what's called dollar cost averaging into an investment, a stock, or an index fund. They don't look at the cost of the index fund or the stock on that day. They don't try to time the market. They just keep putting in a little bit by bit over time. Most wealth building and investing is hacking our own psychology to do the things that we know build wealth over time. Check out Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. If you make it a matter of willpower, you will lose. If you automate it, you'll be on the path toward wealth inevitability. Add automated saving and automated investing on top of principles 1 through 4 from the last 2 episodes, and you're squarely on the path toward wealth inevitability. Another principle I uncovered as I dug myself out of a life of lack is this: spend with wisdom, or put another way, get better at spending. It's mind-blowing that this isn't taught. No one ever teaches us how to think about spending and value. Buying things, paying money for stuff is a huge and unavoidable part of modern life, and it's the downfall of so many people. If you think for a second, I'm sure you know someone who has spent themselves into a corner. I'm concerned about my kids. It's a challenge we face now that we have a certain amount of wealth, They are growing up with comforts I never had. I enjoy buying them toys and clothes and things that they'll enjoy. But yesterday I had this funny conversation with my 14-year-old. It was hot in the house and she went to turn down the air conditioner. She turned it to 66 degrees and I said, "Whoa, that's really cool." And then something occurred to me. So I asked her, "Do you know that it costs money to air condition the house?" It had never crossed her mind. She didn't know. So I have some work to do before she goes off to college. I really want her to understand cost and value and how to be a good spender. But trying to be a good spender can quickly turn us into Scrooge. No fun, just penny pinching everything. I'm guilty of that at times for sure. But the principle that I think is the most actionable for you is this: what are the largest expenses in your life? Usually this is your housing, your transportation, and your food. If you can get really good at those core expenses, if you can underpay for the value and utility you need for your largest buckets, you're going to solve 80% of your spending problems. Easiest one is your car. Let's be honest. Cars are just status symbols. They serve a minor second function of transporting you. So if you can find your identity in something other than the vehicle you drive, you could unlock a ton of savings and money to invest. For most people, we are spending way too much on our car. It makes no sense, and it's just stealing from your future. You're paying for status now and stealing from your future self. That's the truth. Another example is a bit more controversial. This is it. Almost no one should buy a home. It doesn't make financial sense. It locks up most of your capital. And in the long term, if you calculate the renovations and the upkeep and the taxes, etc., maybe you break even. Rarely does the home you live in actually end up being a good financial move. It's a societal assumption that home ownership is wise stewardship of money, but it's mostly not true. If you rented an affordable home, moved to a city or state that was more affordable, and drove a vehicle that was actually for driving, not for status, you would be 90% of the way toward living this principle, spending with wisdom. The last principle of wealth inevitability is to get serious about paying less tax. You got to do this. I did an entire episode on this, which you can watch here. But did you know that the average American will pay 50% of their income back to the government over their lifetime? It's like we're working half of our lives to fund a government that we know for a fact is misallocating the money. It's nuts. There are hundreds of strategies to legally and ethically lower your taxes. One of my favorites is to make sure you're taxed as a corporation instead of an individual, so that you can utilize the full power of the tax code. You could do this by starting a side hustle, by asking your employer to pay your corporation instead of you, or by starting a company. My second piece of tax advice is to fire your CPA. Almost every CPA thinks their job is to make sure you don't get audited. What this does is it ends up costing you huge amounts of money over your lifetime. You either need to learn tax mitigation yourself and hold your CPA's hand through this process, or get a better CPA who will be proactive. There are very few of those. And finally, the last principle of creating inevitable wealth is generosity. In Proverbs 11, it says, "Give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. The generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed." The Bible literally says that giving freely is a path to wealth. We have a generous God who promises that when we walk abundantly, when we let money flow, it's called currency for a reason. When we let it flow to us and through us, that we will prosper in return. How often does our heart hold on to what we have? I know I'm guilty of this. It feels so right to give. It feels so good, but I also can flinch, My orphan spirit wants to hold on rather than let it flow. Meditate on these promises. The generous will prosper. Give freely and become more wealthy. This is the way our world was created. God created it this way. These are the systems of heaven. Okay, that's all I've got for you today. Easy to understand, right? Hard to live out. Number 1, make it a habit to audit your time. Number 2, utilize the 80-20 principle. Number 3, make more money. Number 4, spend way less than you make. Number 5, create a savings robot. Number 6, spend with wisdom. And number 7, generosity unlocks the flow of wealth and abundance in your life. Which of these ideas landed for you? Would you let us know in the comments? I want this show to be a conversation more than me barking into the void. I'm learning how to engage with you in this noisy world. I'd be blessed, and others would be too, if this turned into a dialogue below this episode. Also, I know there are so many folks out there who need to start down the path of inevitable wealth. Would you share this episode with them? It really helps spread the message to those who can benefit the most. We need each of you. A massive wealth transfer is coming over the next couple of years. There is no time to waste. Let's get all the right people on the bus before it's too late. As always, there are links below this episode where you can grab the 30 wealth basics you were never taught in school, or you can grab the time audit worksheet from 2 weeks ago. Sign up for our email list on Substack, and we'll send them to you. Or if you're interested in working with me directly, I'm taking a couple one-on-one clients, and we'll dig into your exact wealth holdups, your business roadblocks, your investment, your tax questions. You can go to judsonmorgan.com to send me a message if you're interested in that. And of course, seek first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all the rest will be given to you. Lord, I just pray this episode would reach the right people. I pray that you would unlock a whole generation of people who are walking your path toward prosperity, who understand how you created wealth to flow, and who make wealth inevitable for their family and their children's children. Amen. And that's the pod.